Ooh. Good morning, bookworms. It is 6 o'clock in the morning. Puppy is in the kennel eating breakfast. Sounds like he's finished eating breakfast, but we are going to sit down and write for an hour because I got a book to finish. So the plan is we've got the first draft done already, and the plan is to just kind of sit down and flesh out some of my characters because I need more words. I finished kind of the baseline story, and now I feel like in order to kind of put some more detail in there, I need to figure out what my characters and why my characters. So today we are going to work on how do I call her? Maybe we're going to work on the kind of secondary antagonist, but kind of the big bad guy. Her name is Clementine Voss, and she's going to be sort of our unreliable narrator in this book. So, yeah, let's get started. All right, so first things first, I really need to kind of figure out what kind of unreliable narrator she's going to be and kind of why. So there are a few different types of unreliable narrators that I am looking at, and the biggest two are going to be the deliberate liar, so somebody who is intentionally kind of manipulating the reader / main character to like achieve something, and that could work well. But there also is the evasive unreliable narrator that I could do, and that person kind of deliberately withholds information. So you've got somebody who's lying to readers, and you've got somebody who's just lying by omission. I think to serve the plot better, we're gonna go with the evasive unreliable narrator. So yeah, I think that's gonna be the way to go. Mostly because I just think that the evasive can I combine the two? Is that a thing? Because the way it's set up now, I need her to not give information away. But I also need her to deceive some people. Maybe let's do a combination and see how that goes. So do we make her more of a liar, or do we make her more of an omitter? Guess we figure that out. Okay, so what we've got here is I kind of just am starting to build Clementine's little character arc. So we've got her personality trait, kind of deliberate and evasive, and why, just for the plot line of the book so I can keep it straight. And then I put with the main characters of the story which way she was going to go in terms of unreliable narrator. Now I'm just trying to figure out the why, and that'll help me explore some of her motivations to get to these parts. So, I think from there, we need to, I think from there, well, okay, there we go. So, I think from here, we need to kind of flesh out a little bit more of who she is as a person, so we can get there. So, I'm going to take you through my character profile sheet and see what we can come up with there to kind of help motivations on paper. I think that's the next step, yeah. So, her core motivation is that she wants to dismantle the system entirely. Background, she was raised by the elite, and eventually lost her mother to the system. So quick thoughts while I'm sitting here. I'm trying to make her motivations more motivating because I feel like one death isn't enough. My thoughts are parents lose sister in one of the earlier ones, like she wins the lottery or something. Sister or sibling wins the lottery or something. And just out of happenstance, right? And then, I don't know, they're business people or something, and then she loses. So her parents, in essence, replace the sibling with her. Then mom dies, and mom gets called. Maybe. But for that to work, I am trying to make the math work because this big event happens every 10 years. And every 10 years, so sister would have to be 18, which means, so if sister or sibling was 18 at the very earliest to buy the lottery ticket, that would make parents 38. And if they're in their if they are then, and if Clementine is in her 30s, around 50, That would be 30 years. So that would put her parents around 70. And that seems too old. So I don't know if that's going to work. Because 70 seems a little old. Well, no, not if Clementine's in her 30s. That would make them about 40 when they had a kid. Is that too old? I think so. I think that might be too old. So how... We could do it back to back. Yeah, and because Dad's on the council, does back to back look suspicious? I think it does. I think back to back looks suspicious, which is great. Horrible, but great. So, I think we're gonna go back to back. So she's fighting a system that keeps taking her family. There we go. Got it. I think I need to write something. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to draft the interaction between Seraphine, who's a character that y'all meet probably in a later video, and Clementine to kind of get the ball rolling. So if you're going to write, you are writing with me. We're going to write a scene from the unreliable narrator's perspective. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. We're writing a scene from the unreliable narrator's perspective in which it would get the ball rolling for the rest of the book plot. So let me take Dog out first because he stopped whining. So he's probably relaxing now in the kennel. So we're going to take Puppy out because I don't take him out if he's whining. We're kennel training. And then we'll come back. I will set my timer. We're going to write this half for 30 minutes. We're just kind of blob it onto the page for 30 minutes. Just. So, I took the little monster out. Where's the little monster? Yarick! Yarick! He's coming. But while I was taking the monster out, there they are. Look at these precious babies. There's Quasimodo. Say hi, Quas. And where's your little brother, Yarick? Yarick. Oh, there he is. There's Yarick, named after the commandant. Not commandant, the commissar. And Quasimodo. That's it. Okay, but anyway. So, while I was taking... balance again. Well, I'm just going to hold it. Anyway, so while I was taking the guys out, especially Yarick, I made myself a cinnamon roll chai, or dirty chai. That'll be in a short. But also, I had an idea. What if instead we write a prologue? So instead of writing the interaction between Clementine and Seraphine, we're going to write a prologue. So, changing the writing prompt. Write a prologue to a dystopian society that sacrifices someone every 10 years. All right, let's get back to writing. So, the time is gone. I went a little bit over time, but that's okay. I got to a point and I wasn't quite done, but I wanted to wrap it up, and what I had wasn't working. So, it took a little bit extra time to get that going. I'm going to read what I have. It's going to be a little rough, but we're just going to kind of go over it. I don't have the real names because they're in the manuscript somewhere. I need to find them. So I just wrote insert name, and I'm just going to make up names for them while we go. So, yeah, we're going to read this. This is kind of a fleshed out why, or trying to be a fleshed out why. It's going to be a little rough because this is just my first little go at it, and I'm not sure if I'm going to put this in the main manuscript or use this as a jumping point for a second or third book. I do have an idea for a second book, so maybe this goes in the second book somewhere, but we gotta finish the first one first. So here we go. This is what it's gonna be, or sort of be. The story starts off, I am going to have to do a little research within my own manuscript because I forgot whatever jargon I used for the announcements, but that's okay. So the announcement plays and we are here. Clementine, Chancellor Voss, and Zoe, looked on in horror. Each of them frozen, neither of them saying a word. Clementine was the first to break the silence. "You promised!" She spit venom with each word. Her hands curled into fists as tears started streaming down her cheeks. "You promised!" The anger consuming her every breath. "I'm so sorry," Chancellor Voss whispered. "You were supposed to be safe. I don't know what happened." Zoe stayed perfectly still, staring, watching, waiting. "It's supposed to be," she echoed her husband under her breath. After some time, she slowly turned towards Clementine. Chancellor Voss hung his head as she walked past him to her youngest daughter. She wrapped Clementine in her arms. "It's not fair. They can't have you both." Zoe pulled her even tighter. Clementine's tears soaked her chest. She stroked her hair, kissing her head, trying her best to comfort her. The family had lost their eldest child last cycle. Now the family... there we go. And now the system was calling for another. There was a knock on the door. Zoe Voss, it's time." Chancellor Voss looked through the peephole. We're going to put another council member there. And two armed men were... So, council member and two armed men were standing on the other side. He recognized them as the same guards who took his Sebastian 10 years prior. Zoe took a deep breath and straightened up. She plastered a smile across her face. "My sweet girl." She took off her emerald ring and slipped it on her finger. She then turned to her husband. He managed to choke out an "I love you." She looked him square in the face. No, she looked him dead in the face, sorry. "Drop it all. She needs you." Chancellor Voss nodded. Zoe held her head high. Oops. Yep. Zoe held her head high and walked proudly to the door. She did not look back until the door closed behind her. So that's kind of where we are in the prologue right now. I think that has fleshed out her why a little bit more and kind of given me a reason, or not a reason, a way to flesh out the story and a motivation behind some of her actions. I do think I need to dig in deeper to the Colton side of things. So this is my thought. If I dig deeper into the Colton side of things, then that means that I need to back this prologue up and do some more. But then that takes the beginning of my manuscript a whole different direction, I think. Or do we say screw it and start the book off with the asset getting sold? So right now, the book is starting off with Colton finding out that his assets have been sold and he's on the list. The list of what? the calling list. Basically in this world, the richest person gets, and their wealth gets redistributed to the poorest people. So, maybe we we start the beginning off with her rigging the system. Maybe? I worry that it gives too much away at the beginning of the book. So, we're going to have to dig into that, but that's not the purpose of the video today. The purpose of this writing session today is to figure out Clementine's motives, which I think we did. So today's session has been a success. I spent 30 minutes writing out the why, and now I'm going to spend maybe another 30 minutes if this monster will let me. Maybe another 30 minutes kind of fleshing out things and brainstorming things. I will come back and let you guys know what I ended up doing. But that is it for now. So, yeah, I'll come talk to you guys later. So I figured out what I'm going to do. The plan is to draft Clementine's and Seraphine's meeting, because I do want that to be in the first novel. So I think that's going to help me drive the story along. So yeah, so for the last portion, we are going to do that. Okay, sorry, text. We're going to do that. Now, so for y'all, what you're going to do for the next 30 minutes is you are going to take that unreliable narrator that we created. Mine is a villain. Yours can be a protagonist if you want. We're going to take that and we are going to now do what I was going to do originally, is draft their meeting. So take your person that you just created and draft a meeting with another character. If you need some time to flesh it out, that's totally fine. Just pause the video or don't start your timer. This is not going to be 30 minutes, but don't start the timer until you have your character done. If you would like to spend that 30 minutes drafting another character, by all means, go for it. Do it. I already have my characters. So, we are going to meet Seraphine for the first time and set it off as a catalyst. Maybe. Maybe not a catalyst, but maybe this is, I don't know, set up Seraphine's part some way. Somehow. This is hard. So we've got like 3 minutes left. I'm whispering though because the doggies are asleep, so shh, hold on. Let's see if I can do this without waking them up. They're really light sleepers. But look at them. Look how cute they are. Okay, that's it. Had to take a little puppy break. Ooh, 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 ooh. It makes some weird noises. But yeah, so 2.5 minutes now. I'm a little stuck, so. Oh, my babies. One more look. One more look. They moved. He got more comfortable. Look at them. Okay, for reals. Let's finish up. Okay. Stop. How do I stop? Okay, there we go. Time is up. So yeah, it's been 30 minutes. I did not get nearly as much done as. Hello? Okay, there we go. I didn't get nearly as much done as I wanted to. So let's talk about it. All right, so looking at this, I didn't actually do that badly. First 30 minutes, second 30 minutes. This one has a lot more brainstormy things. I think I had a very clear vision of what I wanted to do here. On this one, not so much. So, while we are going through this 30-minute draft of this particular scene, we'll go through my notes as well. I think that's the best way to do it. So the first note we have is right here. I started writing and then realized that this kind of paragraph was too young adulty for me in my eyes. I feel like it's very much something I would have read in high school. So I nixed it all. But that meant that this sentence didn't really make sense there. So I moved it up here and then I was like, ugh, this part doesn't really make sense. So then I had to move it up here and add on. So it's going to be a little hard for me to read, but whatever, right? Oh, here we go. And remember, this is draft number 1. It's not going to be in the full final project, probably like this, but it gives us a jumping off point. So, although her dress clung to her thigh and strands of hair stuck to her face, Seraphine was in no rush to get home. The storm earlier had caught her off guard, but not as much as the news of the engagement. She had hoped that she could convince him to call it off, but she lost her nerve at the last second. And she was still angry at him, but she understood. Evelyn was the natural choice for a rising star like Colton. He had made his way out of the lower tiers, and he needed to stay out. She needed to stay in. That was her place. And so, this doesn't make sense right now because you haven't read it, but in a previous chapter, Colton gets engaged. That's something you'll read, so this will make sense, but you haven't read it yet, so it's a little bit scattered. Now, I didn't realize it until I was done writing, but this and the next ones don't go together. Like done writing this and I was kind of thinking about it, but this and that, the next part don't go together. So I kind of like drew a line right here. And then I gave myself a note to add some more detail getting into this next scene. So Seraphine was so lost in thought that she didn't notice the shadow on the wall didn't belong to her. "You look cold," a soft voice startled her. Where's my pencil? I don't like that. And I don't like any of the other options that I have there. I put a soft voice pulled her out of her thoughts. I don't like that one because she was lost in thought, the sentence before. And then I wrote a soft voice pulled her back to reality. I like that, but I feel like it's a bit overused, so we can still workshop this. And if you have an idea, please let me know what might go there, because I'm currently lost. But anyway, back to the story. "I wasn't expecting rain," Seraphine replied, turning towards the voice. A pretty red-headed woman about her age. I put a question mark there because do we care about her age? I don't know. Do we? The question I ask is because I want to give Clementine Big Bad Wolf vibes. I was writing and realized that it's kind of like sudden. It's very much stranger danger, like who are you? And I want Clementine to feel more inviting. So I've got to do some work on that. But right now it's very much like, no. But anyway, so a pretty red-headed woman stood behind her. "I've been there a time or two," she chuckled. "Let me get you a better table, one closer to the fireplace." "Thank you," Seraphine smiled and followed the woman to a warmer seat. And then most of the next part is crossed out. There's no notes, so I just didn't like it. "So what's got you all the way out here like this?" "I made a bad choice." "I've been there too." The woman sat next to her. "So, see how it's stranger danger, and it doesn't feel homey and inviting and cozy and all of the things that I needed to feel, especially if they're sitting at a table next to a fireplace, which might be a little cliche. Is fireplace sitting cliche? I'll have to look into that a little bit more. But in the meantime, the note that I have is for "I made a bad choice." And I don't like the way that comes across, because I don't want it to come across as Colton was a bad choice. I don't want it to come across as not stopping it was a bad choice. I want it to be very broad and ambiguous. I like the intent. I guess what I'm trying to say is the connotation behind "I made a bad choice" is not what I want. I want to keep the intent. I want her, to be questioning all of the choices that have led her up to this point. But I don't really want them to be bad per se. I just want her to be thinking about her life as a whole and how she got here in the storm with this stranger, not with Colton. So I need to change the words. But I have finished my hour of writing, so this is where I am going to leave you guys. I would love to read your stories and what you came up with during this 30-minute writing time, because I would like feedback on mine, and I would like to give you feedback on yours if you would, trust me and trust this community with being vulnerable and being real and writing and just being, I guess, and being creative and letting it flow, and keeping in mind that this is a first draft, this is a brain dump, this is the very beginnings of something that could be really special. And if you put in the work, and if you give me the feedback so I can put in the work, and I think that we can bring very thoughtful and creative and meaningful stories back to this world. So, sorry, I get off my little soapbox and thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But yeah, bookworms, give me your thoughts. I'll give you my thoughts. We can do a little section eventually when we get enough people reading and writing again. We can do a little section and feature you guys. And so that way I can give you some more feedback too. Some live feedback, maybe, if that would be helpful. Yeah, I'm just kind of spitballing here. I don't really know how to close this out, so I am going to say goodbye for now, and I will see you in the next one.